And as Nathan said before, when we talk about mezcal, everybody thinks in Oaxaca, but it's a big effort for me to try to change this idea, especially for the beginners. So, and try to put in a space the distillates from the northern Mexico. Mostly of these mezcals are not in DO. I mean, in the origin denomination. I don't know how is the translation in English. You know, like the tequila.
Yeah, the denomination of origin for mezcal has 10 states now, right? 'Cause Sinaloa got added.
Yeah, something like that. I
Yeah.
lost the count. But
Yeah.
anyways, it's not that the point if it's or not, but mostly because we don't know much about the mezcal from the north of Mexico. I don't know if you can turn on the presentation to let's
Yep.
begin a little bit about the
Okay.
brand and my work. And
Okay. Just share my screen. Does everybody see?
please be patient with us. No.
Yeah.
Okay, and
Everybody can see this?
yes, we got.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
presentation's on now.
Yes, but it's not enough. Yes, right. Okay. So as I said before, no, back, please. Back.
Yep.
Can you go? Yes. All this began like 14 years ago when I saw that the most of the brands that we have, the commercial brands, doesn't represent the real mezcal, the real tradition. So I began to making tastings and try to introduce the mezcal here in Monterrey City, where I live, is the second or third biggest city in Mexico. So when I began to making all these tastings, introducing these mezcals, I call it this project Nación de las Verdes Matas. That it means is the diversity that we have and the diversity, biodiversity that we have, and diversity, the cultural diversity that we have in all the Mexico. You know, there is around 40 different states where we make mezcal, but the people doesn't know. The people only thinks in Oaxaca, and the people doesn't know, especially here from the north in Monterrey, in Nuevo León. The people doesn't know that here in our state we have good production, a good producer of mezcal. Next, please.
Okay. Keep going.
Next, please, Nathan.
Sorry?
No, in like 5, 6. No, back, please.
Yeah.
No, back. Where you say Lamata. Yes, there. So I launched like 5 years ago this brand, especially in United States, that we try to make. I found a lot of interest in United States about what is happening with the mezcal. So I launched like 5 years ago this brand that is a collection. Uh, where the name was Lamata. Next, please.
Yep.
No, there. Where is the bottles? Yeah, okay. And what is trying to say is what is a traditional distillate? Is a very confusing right now in the market to know what is traditional mezcal, but the traditional mezcal is very easy to get it. Is where is keep it the recipe that is heritage generation to generation by families. It's not an industrial way of making, or it's not making for the tasting of the tourist tasting. Is how the people used to drink the mezcal in their own communities. It's the most important characteristic of the traditional mezcals. And I've been saying long time ago, it's the most diverse and complex for me in the world because we have a lot of different species of agaves and a lot of these different making diverse process of making mezcal. You will see here four different states, but we have every family has their own way to making mezcal, even if they are neighbors. Next, please.
Everybody's still seeing the share screen, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Want to make sure.
Okay.
Awesome.
Here, what we talking before, all this diversity, biodiversity that we have, all this picture of agaves, we call patrimony. I don't know, I don't find any word in English, but here is bottles of Lamata. Next, please. Next. Okay, you want to write down my social media and my website, please stop there. Okay, please take a picture and after you can go look for me in social media. I put some good news or some things there. My website, it have a lot of information that it complements what everything we want to talk here. Next, please. Well, here is the map of Mexico, modern map. I want you to understand the geography. As I said before, these like 20 different states in all country that we used to make, we traditional make mezcal. And next, please. And I want you to see this other map in the next slide here. When we are going to talk about the north of Mexico, the mezcal from the north, we need to introduce with this map how it used to be Mexico a long time ago. We, the states of the north of Mexico, have a very close relationship with the states of the south of United States. And is the evolution of the mezcal in the north has to be with this relationship, commercial and technology and cultural in exchange that we have. So we have more relationships, the state of the north with the state of the south of Mexico than with the center of Mexico or the south. We are more close with the people with the culture of the south of the United States. Probably it is something that is not common to that something like me says this, but it's the truth. We do a lot of customs and traditions that we share with the United States. Please, next. Okay, so here is the map of Mexico and is where Lamata works. I work in other states too, but this mostly the states that I work. And you see, I work with especially in the north of Mexico. So for me, it's very important to bring all this expression and try to rescue some tradition or making or way of making mezcal because are in extinction. Exist these places or this producer or this tradition here at the north. So it was part of my work making to bring to all the people interested to bring all this information. So right now we are going to begin to taste four different states, four different agaves, four different families, four different way of making. Next, please.
Sorry, I kind of gave a little bit of a surprise for everybody. So I know you don't know what you have in front of you. The first one that we're gonna drink has the letter D on the label. It's pretty obvious what they are at the end of the day, but just so that everybody knows, the first one we're drinking is the letter D. Okay, go ahead, Luis.
Okay. Well, this is Durango, this state of Durango. I work in two regions. There exist three regions, but two regions. One is Nombre de Dios. That is Very, it's the desert, is very arid place. In the land is full of rocks of magma that we call breña. I don't know if it's good how I'm telling you that is magma, is volcanic land. And the other place is Mezquital, is at the Montes, at the south of Mexico. Next. So if
This
you
is,
want to begin, sorry.
yeah, I was just gonna
Yes,
say somebody was asking, this is the technical details for the mezcal that we're drinking right now. Okay. Yeah.
this mezcal that we want to drink right now is from the Mezquital. Is at the south and is made by the Familia de la Cruz. Here is the details: 120 liters. It's around of 49 ABV percent of alcohol, 49% of alcohol, and is made in 2023. Okay. Next, please. You want to say something else, Nathan?
I got some people asking. So yeah, we're drinking D right now. There's no procedure for prepping and I would recommend maybe if you guys want to have 4 glasses in front of you and pour out maybe a half ounce of each. Um, do I recommend a certain type of glass? Whatever your preference is for what you typically drink spirits in. I have, for me personally, I have ISO glasses. They're like little wine glasses that I use. Um, but yeah, I would recommend pour the 4 out. We're gonna drink in the order of D, T, B, and the last one's N. Okay. That way, what I would recommend, you can compare and contrast. Don't drink the whole thing in one sitting while we're going through, so you can compare and contrast. I think that's the best way to taste. Um, and then the only other thing I want to mention too is something interesting about what Luis has here for this region. A lot of people might, if they're familiar with mezcal, might know Durango quite well. But the majority of the stuff that you see from Durango is coming from Nombre de Dios that he mentioned. It's very rare that you find stuff from El Mezquital. I don't know if Luis, maybe you're like one of the only ones that are bottling stuff from there. Okay, I'm not sure if I know that or not, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. This region is pretty hard to get there. There is the mountains. Most of the producers are indigenous from the indigenous are I forgot the Odams, the
The
Odam culture.
Tepehuanon, eh?
Sorry?
The Tepehuano that live there?
Yes, Tepehuano, but Odam culture and specialties what we're going to taste is from the La Cruz family. Is half Odam or Tepehuano and half Mestizo, um, a common person from Mexico. So please go next.
Yeah.
Nathan,
This
sorry,
is the land of the
can I ask a
yeah.
question?
Sorry.
Sure.
No, I just want to ask a question. Just in terms of the label, like obviously I'm more of kind of a whiskey and rum drinker and that I'm just recently kind of getting into mezcal. What are the main things that you kind of looking at here? Obviously it's the master distiller and a few things, but how do you like obviously need to know the agave type, but anything else that's kind of like important to kind of help you differentiate as you go through all the different mezcals?
Can please give me the question slower, please? I didn't get it all. Can you speak
Ju-
slower?
What on the label? There's obviously 10 different important things.
Yes.
What are the key things to kind of keep a lookout? Am I looking at the oven? Am I looking at I'm just wondering if there's certain things to look at.
Think is Carl, right? Carl talking.
No, it's Danilo. Sorry.
Oh,
Danilo.
Danilo. Okay, sorry. I think every one of these aspects is something that you want to pay attention to because it's part of the recipe, the traditional recipe that they have, and each one of these things is going to vary from place to place, producer to producer. So we'll see in the other ones, we'll see these change, but they're all important to a certain extent. We'll get into details for each one, though.
Okay.
Luis is going to talk
We,
about it.
yes, it's for us when we have a lot of different kinds of mezcals. So this for us is very important, the traceability that we use, because to make the difference one mezcal to others, because it will be very complex if we don't include all this information. So all this is the varieties, the main varieties what we have to get the flavor and get the terroir and get the specific characteristic on the flavor and in smell, in mouth, in nose. That's why for us it's very important. All this you will see. I want to I will explain all the difference in this process. So that's why for us it's very important. The most of the good brands that have a good product use this traceability, all this information for the people, especially for the new people and the people that with a lot of experience. The people with a lot of experience are always asking for all this information, especially for the name of the producers. Next, please. Well, this is the landscape of the Mezquital. You will see there is a very complex the mountains and canyons and mesetas, you know, I don't know, the translation is a plains over the mountains, and that's why we get a lot of diversity with agaves. Please, next. This is 3 different kinds of species of agaves that exist in Nombre de Dios. I wanted to include, we are not drinking mezcal from Nombre de Dios, but I want to include to you can see all the diversity that this state have. For me, is one of the states that have more diversity after Oaxaca and Jalisco. Probably Durango is the 3rd or the 2nd state that with more diversity. Next, please. And these others are these agaves from the mountains from El Mezquital. And we repeat here cenizo in both places. The agave cenizo is the most important and the most known agave that in Durango make the mezcal. The scientific name of cenizo is the Durangensis, that is making reference to the state. For example, we have here the first one, the tepemete. The tepemete is an angustifolia, but it's a wild angustifolia. The espadín that you know from Oaxaca, those are angustifolia, but mostly of these agaves are cultivated. This one is a wild, it's very small. We have here another almay, there is an Maximiliana, Masparillo. This Masparillo is made by 2 different species agaves, that is Bobby Cornuta and Maximiliana, the Cenizo, the Durangensis, and the Castilla. We have not the ID, the real ID. Some scientific says that the Castilla is from agave angustifolia, another side that planata. But we don't know exactly what is the ID of this is agave, the scientific ID. But this one of the characteristics is very big agave. You can see there a man is cutting the leaves, the pencas, and probably the piñas. All this the heart of the agave. The weight will be until 500 kilos. It's very big agave. Okay, next. No, back. Yes. This person is the who make you're drinking his mezcal is Enrique de la Cruz. Is the producer, is the mezcalero. He's helped with his son Federico. You can see in the label that is made by the family de la Cruz, Federico and Enrique de la Cruz. Next, please.
Sorry, I'm doing some chat and then I'm going back and forth. So
Next. Okay, this is the Vinata. At the south, the place where the mezcaleros make mezcal is called Palenque. Here at the north, in some state, we call it Vinata. There is the reference of vino mezcal. You know what is vino? It's a Spanish word that means wine. But why wine? Because if the wine came from the grape, well, it's very interesting how this is the name of vino, vino mezcal. Mezcal, it means maguey cocido, it means cooked agave, that before of distillation here in the culture of Mexico and the United States, some cultures used to eat cooked agave. That's how we call mezcal, cooked agave. But when the Spanish culture came or the Europeans came to America and introduced the wine, the red wine, the Mexicans, the antique Mexicans understand Tawan vino like something that make you drunk. So when they envelop the mezcal or begin making mezcal, so they add the word vino because it's a word, is something that is a liquor that make you drunk, and mezcal is the origin of the plants. So if we translate, we're trying to say that is vino from cooked agave is what it means, vino mezcal. That's why some places is called vinata, the place where the person, the mezcaleros make the vino mezcal. One of the important characteristic of this is that around there, can you see my pointer? At the end, at the top, there is a pit. This is the oven. The cooked agave is there. When it's mature, this put with a lot of stone and wood and put the agave there, and they cover with earth like 3 days to get cooked the agave. And then they bring the agave and smash by axe. There is next slide, please.
yeah.
Here is some producers smashing the cooked agave. We can see there the cooked agave, and they're smashing and putting in these tanks, underground tanks that is recovered with pine wood. So they smash it to get the fever and put water. In this case, from De La Cruz, he used a river water to get the fermentation. For why use this method of fermentation? Because Durango is very extreme. Probably at the day it could be warm, at the night it's cold. So the fermentation, it depends of the warmth of the water. So at the night, if they ferment there, it's more stable to get the fermentation. The fermentation. That's why here at the north in Durango they use these pilas. They call it pilas for fermentation. Next one. Yes.
Another thing, they use these small little pits, and it really allows them to control the length of their fermentation. They'll use like the way that they measure how much they're using of the fermentation to put into the still is like how many of these pilas get filled up. One thing that I saw, I don't know if they do it in the mezquital, but in nombre, they tend to use like some warm water to help speed up the fermentation. And their fermentation tends to be very quick because of it. Like some of them were telling us just like a few days. I don't know if it's like that in the mezquital as well, but it seemed to be part of the tradition to ferment that way.
Yes, most of the states in Oaxaca to taste warm a little bit the water to activate the levaduras. I don't know the translation of
The yeast,
yes.
the yeast. Yeah.
So this can then work better the fermentation. If we go back to the slide, one slide back, we can see there there is the how you say the fever with water. It began for fermentation there. Okay. Next. So this is the still method, the Duranguensis still method is when the fermentation is ready, they use they use 3 different materials here at the Mezquital. The pot, there is copper pot, is here inside of this oven that is warming and is boiling, and there is this invert cone of wood of pine wood, and we can see this tube. This one is made by, in this case of De la Cruz family, they use a cactus, a pitayo. You know what is the pitayo? Is a big cactus. They hollow this. Second, they dry the cactus, and they hollow to use like a tube to conduct the vapor to the serpentine. Where is next, please? We can see here better in the next slide. We can see here how this works. There is a oven, the copper, the wood with the invert cone, and the bitoque is called to this connection between the serpentine and where is passing through the vapor. Okay.
Can I tell a funny story, Luis?
Yes.
About these? So the name of these stills, they're called viejos, which basically means like old man. And the name comes from the fact that the story that I was told anyways, like if you see the silhouette of these in the sunset, it kind of looks like a man with his phallic object being inserted into something. And funnily enough, the serpentine part, they'll call it a vieja, so like an old woman, and the two give birth to mezcal at the end. Just a little.
Yes, it's like act of making love or making sex. Yes, that's right.
Mezcal babies, yeah.
Yes. Okay. We finish here with Durango. With I don't know. You want to discuss or make some question or say something about what you're tasting, what is in your glass, please.
Yeah. I'm curious. Like, if anybody has questions, go ahead, just speak out or go in the chat. But I'm curious what people think of this one. Anybody?
It's really quite lovely, perfectly balanced. There's sweetness there, little heat from the ABV. It's got a little bit of that smokiness. It's really beautiful.
I can taste a little spice in it. Am I wrong? Like a little
Honestly,
bit of spice in the background.
Yeah, I don't, like Linda said, I don't think there's any wrong answers. If that's what you taste, then it's there. For me personally, I agree with the sweetness. I find this like a very sweet, very approachable mezcal. Very, very fruity. Yeah.
Just wondering if Luis has noted any seasonality in the flavors. In other words, are there certain production dates when he would expect a little more funk, and other months when maybe it's going to be just those sort of, baking spices and sweetness that, we typically associate with Duranguensis?
You mean the season? The season, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
When it's made, are there certain months when you think, or certain seasons when you think it might be funkier?
Yes. For me, I always pick up the mezcal from De La Cruz when it's made in winter. I've been trying the mezcal that is in summer or in spring are more dry. And for me, are more sweet. These mezcal are more complex and more nice. These mezcals. I've been trying mezcal from all the seasons that De La Cruz made. So for me, it's very important to pick up this mezcal at the winter.
Anybody else?
Luis, is that because there's less rain? Is it because their flavors are more concentrated in the winter?
The rain, you mean? The rain season?
Yeah, because you said in winter. Does it rain in the winter? Where's the
No. Actually, the producers doesn't make mezcal when it's rain season. because they get a lot of loss. The agave get not many sugar. So in the winter is like not more concentrated. The most season that is concentrated is before of the season rain. It's like in May when it get more mezcal. But for me, the most beautiful mezcal are from the winter. But it's no raining. When it rains, they stop making mezcal.
That makes sense. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, someone's commenting about cheese and like lactic. There's definitely Durangos can be kind of known sometimes for having those lactic, cheesy notes for sure.
Yes.
And that definitely comes from the fermentation. Yeah. I found it really interesting. So most of my experience for, like I said before, for drinking mezcal from Durango was coming from Nombre de Dios. And Luis's brand was like my first experience with having stuff from Mezquital. And I found that everything in the Mezquital just tasted like a little bit more intense. They make Sotol there as well. So from a different family of plants. It's not actually an agave, but they make Sotol there as well. And the Sotols that I had from the Mezquital as well were just like any of those flavors that you normally taste in Durango, but just turned up like another notch. So I'm very intrigued by what's happening in this area in Durango.
It's a little bit dangerous over there.
Yeah.
It's the other part. It's other part that I don't tell many. But for example, this state here at the Monte is pretty hard to get there. Nathan, he contacted me last year, I guess. So yes, he wanted to go to Mezquital. I wasn't available in that time. So I say I recommend you don't go. If you go with someone that knows there in the Mezquital, because there is the cartels and drugs dealers and whatever. It's no, we can have problems. It's part of the nature of this spirit from Mezquital. It's a little bit of danger. Adrenaline.
Hey, Luis, tengo
Yes.
una pregunta. What would you say are the main notable differences if someone is familiar with Mezcal de Durango desde Nombre de Dios, right?
Yep.
What would you say are the notable differences when you're talking about Mezcal de Durango, pero desde Mezquital?
Yes, well, for example, the method is the same. There is a little bit difference between Nombre de Dios and Mezquital. For me, the Mezquital is more pure because Nombre de Dios is very close to Durango, the capital, 45 minutes. It is in a town that is very touristic town, and a lot of people, a lot of tourists came to the Nombre de Dios, and this had been changing the historical taste. We call gusto histórico. This had been changing the historical taste. The producers are not very well. They're losing the production because all this market pressure from the tourists. But for example, Nathan, he was talking when he went there at last year. There is some producers that are importing the technology from Durango, the technology from Oaxaca. They bring the Taona, they substitute the Viejo and this distill method by Alambique and other things that I didn't like it. Why they made this? Because they try to make some difference and put something different the commercial catalog that they have. But for me, it's not the way of making mezcal because there is a reason why the people used to make why they make in this way this mezcal. Because I'm defending, or my posture is to defend this way of this traditional way of making mezcal.
Claro que sí. Great answer, Luis. Muchas gracias. You're really invested in preserving the traditions that are generational to that area. And it feels to you like Nombre de Dios is starting to experience a little bit of commercialization because of nuestros gringos.
It's no gringos, it's people from it's people from Mexico too. For example, there is a lot of damage with the tequila because for example the tequila, the ABV of tequila, the percent of tequila is like 40 ABV or 39, and the traditional way is like 48, 50 degrees, and they change because the tequila is very successful, so we are going to put low label to the people get more interested in our
Quieren esto en América, en Estados Unidos, bla, bla.
No, but no especially
Entiendo, entiendo. Oh, gracias, gracias.
You're welcome. De nada. Okay, yeah, I don't know if there is another question. What is the ABV of this?
Sir, what was ABV
49,
again?
49.
Okay.
49 ABV. I forgot to say that.
I think maybe we'll move on to the next one. So yeah, this one's T. Okay.
Okay. Here again, the map, our next mezcal is from Tamaulipas, is there. There is the places, Ciudad Victoria is the capital. We are very close to my state. It's 2.5 hours. This mezcal is made from San Carlos. This is the two municipalities that make mezcal, and it's another at the south in Tula, but I haven't explored there. People have been telling me that in Tula is not make any more mezcal. So we are going to drink this traditional ensemble. I don't know if this is a translation, Nathan, when we say ensemble. For me, it's not a blend. The blend, for example, that you said in whiskeys or bourbons, is a cold mixing a cold batches. But this, when we say ensemble, the agaves, we saying next, please.
I think a good way if anybody is familiar with wine, there's a term that they'll call field blend, where the grapes are growing in a particular area and there's a mix of different types of grapes, and those will all get like co-fermented together and made into the final product, versus maybe you see with like blending in rum, for example, where they'll blend from different barrels after they've been distilled. With an ensemble, everything gets cooked, fermented, and distilled
everything
together the whole way through.
Yeah, it means ensemble. It means when it's made from 2 or 3 or more different agaves. Here, in the traditional way of making mezcal in Tamaulipas, they use 3 species difference. Can we go to the next one?
Everybody got the information here? If they, yeah. Okay.
Anyway, we're going to explain. Here is the landscape. You see, it's very arid. There's not many trees and thorns. I don't know if it's the traditional espinas. It's bushes with a lot of thorns.
Bushy.
It's very hard to walk there. Okay, next, I want you to see the 3 different agaves that they make mezcal, Americana and Asperima. There are big agaves, and the Univitata is called Amole, is the regional name. Is a very small, when you cut the leaves, you get a ball like the size of a football ball or basketball ball. It's the size of the Univitata piña. Next, please. Here we can see the difference. There are the 3 different agaves. Here's cooking, and the small one is the amoles or Univitata at the bottom, and there is mixed the Americana and Asperima. Okay. I want you to see the difference. How looks different the agaves. For when we begin introducing the mezcal, when we see the agaves, for all of us, the agaves looks very similar or very, but the producer are very notice difference. When you cut the leaves, you can see exactly what the difference. Here are three. This one that looks at the bottom looks different. It's another species, but it's very hard to find. It's called Harsian. It's Santica arnioli, something like that is the scientific name. But these other are a mix of Univitata, I'm sorry, of Asperima and Americana, subspecies Americana.
And
all are wild
Luis,
agave. See? Yes.
in the Americana and the Sperima, they just call it the typical name's Maguey, right?
Yes.
But often what will happen is the species will hybridize in the
Yes.
wild, and you have a mix of the two as well. So they use sometimes these hybrids, sometimes the Americana, sometimes the Sperma, and it's hard to differentiate between the two. But there are genetic differences there.
And there is a reason why this mixed tree is these three species, Americana and Asperima, they have a very low content of sugar. You have a good production of mezcal, you need a lot of sugar in your agave. So they complement to equilibrate the production with Univitata, that this agave is very small, but they have a lot of content of sugar. That's why they mix and make this, I call it traditional ensemble. That's why they mix these three different agaves. Next one, please. Here is the Modesto and Martin. These are brothers, and you are drinking or you're going to drink this mezcal. Are you already open your glass, your bottle? I don't know. We did the instructions. I think
everyone's putting in the chat. They're tasting through it. We've got some notes. Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is Modesto and Martin, the masters that you're drinking his mezcal, their mezcal. Okay. Next one. Something special that I want to say about this process or this method making mezcal. They separate the bagazo, that means the fiber, from the juice. They cooked underground, as we saw as in Durango, by 3 days. And after that, they cut in a little pieces the agave, the cooked agave, and they put it in this trapiche that is sugar mill. This originally is made for sugar. Can you help me with the translation?
For juicing sugarcane, it's quite
sugar
typical.
Cane,
you see it, yeah.
Yes.
For making rum, but if you need
yes.
for making sugar in general.
Yeah. Yes. Traditionally, before, when the tradition get to Tamaulipas, to the state, they used to make the meal with the taona, this circular stone that is pulled by donkeys or mules, but was very hard to moving or to get one of these mills. Molinos is all right, the translation mills. I'm saying well.
Yeah, like milling it. Like
yes, the mill.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So the substitute with the sugarcane mill, because Tamaulipas is next to Nuevo León, the state where I live, and Nuevo León is a region where is a lot of sugarcane long time ago. So they're used to use the trapiche, the sugarcane mill, for making not rum exactly, but getting the sugar. So they understand that could help substituting the taona by the trapiche. So they separate the fiber from the juice. So they only fermentate the juice from the cooked agave. Next, please.
It's definitely something unique to this area, because most traditions of mezcal production will use the fiber and juice all together when they're fermenting. You only really find this in kind of this area in particular. You find it a little bit in San Luis Potosi as well.
Tequila. The tequila is
León,
made
the
in
neighboring state.
The
Oh, you see it in
tequila
tequila as well a little bit.
it
But
separates, yes, it's been separate the flavor from the juice. Yes. Next, please. Okay, this is the distill. It's very, this is how looks the vinatas or the palenques or where the people traditional make mezcal is almost in the landscape outside. You sometimes they have no roof, and it looks it's not an industrial way of making. That's I find a lot of beauty in this picture, in these methods. Probably people that these are other kind of people are expecting something different, but it's how I like. I find some beauty of some interesting information in this picture. Please, next. I want to try. I want next.
you want after this the Adam still?
Okay. Yes. The steel is in United States in the 20s, the late 20s and the early 30s. Tamaulipas is at the border with Texas. So as I said before, in like introduction to the mezcal from the north, we have a lot of exchange, cultural exchange, market. We buy things and they came and visit us. Probably we can share families in both parts of in different states. So in the prohibition area, they introduce this distill to have a barrel in middle of the boiling pot and the serpentine where is the vapor is condensing. So they introduce this because here in the north or first in that time we used to sail to the United States, especially in the prohibition area. Next, please. Here's how it works. In the Adam steel patent, it have a return from the barrel to the boiling pot, but here they have only empty or empty barrel that only conduce the vapor from the boiling pot to here, and they continue to the serpentine to cold or the condensed paper. Why they use this barrel here? I've been trying to investigate. Is not only for looks like to making looks like that. It's because you know these three agaves that I present you. Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I thought I was offline. I
No,
was
you're good.
saying this empty barrel, it helps, you know, when I present you, when I introduce you the three different kind of agaves, the amole or this small agave, this agave have a lot of saponins. It's a substance that make a lot of, how you say, espuma, Nathan?
Yeah, like it's like bubbly, kind of like suds from soap, kind of.
Actually, this agave people long time I used to make like soap to wash the clothes because I have uh mm, this saponins helps to clean the clothes. So when you distill or when you use these agaves, these saponins, it brings when you're boiling or when you're distilling brings a lot of particles here through the distillation. And for example, in Oaxaca, there is a species of agave that is called jabalí. It's very similar to the univitata or the amole. This need to distill 3 times because at the second distill, they have a lot of particles and it's like dark and brown distill. So they need to make 3 times the distill. So I think I've been into you that this barrel used to all these particles get there and the vapor came clear and this can make only two distills. That's why this introduction and they are using this distill, this kind of still. Okay. I don't know if there is some question about this.
Everyone's good?
I'm done with the Tamaulipas, with the ensemble. I don't know if you want
What,
to make the notes.
yeah, what does everyone think of this one? I got a couple comments, but yeah.
You want to go back to see the steel again in the picture? People compare. No, back.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, we can see here.
So that barrel in the center, does it fill up and then siphon back out?
No, it's only one way. Only get the vapor, and the vapor continue it way to get to the condensation in the serpentine.
So it's a sealed barrel with a tube going in and out,
So sorry.
like sealed, like
I think back in the day, like for the moonshiners that would have used it, sometimes they would put like fruit or other like flavoring
No,
agents
they
into
don't.
that.
No, they
And
don't
it,
add. No, they don't use fruit or
no,
whatever.
no, Luis, I'm saying the moonshiners, not the people in Tamaulipas,
Yeah.
but people in the States
Okay.
would have put like fruits and stuff and infused like flavoring into it. They don't do that
Okay.
here. But regardless, it'll create like a little bit of what you call like reflux. So there is some condensation happening, and it'll ultimately affect the final flavor. Um, you know, I find it funny, for example, like you look at some uh, Scotch producers, for example, and they have like different stills named accordingly, and they'll distill on different stills and blend based upon like the different shapes that they are. And like I've even heard stories of some of the stills maybe having like a little dent in it, and that particular still with a dent has a different flavor profile. So something like this obviously would radically change the way that the still works and the flavor profile that would result from it.
Okay. I don't know if someone wants to talk about what is in your glass, what in your mouth.
Yeah.
it's definitely different than any mezcal I've had so far.
Yeah, it's I this one I find very challenging, but I picked it because it's I've never tasted a mezcal like this before. Yeah, it's very, very unique.
I find it's like a lot more oilier than like the first one. Is that like a function of the different agaves like together, or it's more the distillation process?
The install. Probably the different agaves. For me, the flavor of the mezcals, 50% have to be with the fermentation. But actually, it's true that the flavors of these agaves, the mole, the small, is very strong. I've been trying when it's cooked, this agave is very strong, it's very different the flavor, but yes, probably this difference between because these agaves, the species. But the terroir, terruño, we say in Spanish, the terroir, is very important because all these mezcal from this region are similar. Someone else?
Everyone's
Someone
saying
else?
it's challenging and unique.
Yes, I love this one.
This is
Somebody just asked what's the yield that you get for production here?
Sorry? The euro.
The yield, like how much product do you get per kilo of agave?
Is when this mix by kilo is like 50 kilos by liter, more or less. 15 kilos by liter.
Okay.
I think I
For
find
me,
it complex. Yes.
sorry, I get such nice chile notes like a chipotle almost like a smoked
Yes,
chile.
yes. Some people have it,
It's
tell
really
me that
nice.
chipotle, yes. And others people onion too.
Yeah, savory, sort of like almost like a guisado.
Yes, very
Almost.
very Mexican food. Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Anybody else?
If no one have some comments, we can go to the other
Yeah.
mezcal.
Yeah.
Okay, the map again. Now we're going to Sonora. Yes, it's at the west. Yes, I put all these little points where mezcaleros are making the production. The production is pretty next to Chihuahua. Actually, some producer from Chihuahua came to Sonora to get agave or whatever mix. But here at the south, all at the border, make lechuguilla. In Sonora, we have two different distillates. One is Bacanora, that is have a origin denomination, and the lechuguilla is has unregistered spirit. Can we go next, please? Okay, here's the technical information. White agave, yaquiana, it's an angostifolia, but it's made by Abel and Genaro. It's made, the location is the municipality of San Pedro de la Cueva. It's underground, it's cooked underground, use a mechanical green. It's a clay pits, you will see, and we'll explain all this process. So I don't know if you want to say something about this, Nathan.
This is the one with the cactus cooked with it, right?
Yes, there's a
Yeah.
picture. Okay.
Something I want to point out too, just so everybody can appreciate, is like looking at the lot sizes for some of these batches. This one particular batch being only 45 liters. So very, very tiny batches of production. Okay.
Let's go next. There is the landscape, how it looks. This part is La Sierra de Montes, but it's a lot of desert. You see pitayos, you can see saguaros, pitayos, and other kind of cactus there. Let's go next. Here is the three different species of agaves that make distillate. The Bacanora is at the bottom, but the other two are the lechuguillas. One is the species Chardonnay, and the other is the Bobby Cornuta. Okay, but the Bacanora is the angustifolia, and we call it yaquiana because it's another variety of angustifolia. The agave angustifolia probably is the most agave that is in the most part of the territory of Mexico, but there is a lot of difference in these angustifolias. In Oaxaca, you know, they call it is the espadín, and Puebla is espadilla. In Guerrero, there is called as another variety that is called Zacatoro. In Durango, Tepemete, and here in Sonora is called Bacanora. Okay. Next. This is Abel. I have no picture of Genaro, his brother. Here is how he's checking his fermentation there. The fever is working. Next. Something that I want to talk about the culture, the Bacanora, is that at the beginning of the last century was very persecuted, the tradition. There was a very hard laws that were persecuting the producers. So when these are made, the culture translates this persecution to the way of making mezcal with the installations. You see, is no roof there, and the people there was brigades from the army that were looking for place where people make bacanora. So when they built the vinatas, they used for a different artifacts or things that they can very if ephemeral way of making the installations. For example, here at the left, this square thing, you have idea what is what is this made, what is works, of how you the recycle this part. ¿Alguno de ustedes tiene idea de para qué se usaba esta pieza cuadrada? Any one of you have an idea what used to make this square of steel metal? Any?
I don't know.
Well,
Ice? I don't know. Ice?
well,
Ice
Yeah.
cream?
as I said before, the person to make bacanora, they recycle a lot of things because all these brigades of persecution. So, for example, they get this is a container for water of a plane. Es un contenedor donde se guardaba el agua en algún avión. I don't know if you can help me to translate what is used.
Water coming from the plane, yeah.
Yes. So right now, they put the bacanora there. This guy at the right, you see, he's using a barrel from beer. So they have this culture of recycle or they're reusing some things because this persecution, they had to make very ephemeral installation to make the bacanora. So that's why this is still some producer have this sense of recycled artifacts. Okay. Next. Well, here's the oven, and here is the angustifolia or the bacanora, and you see here is some slides of saguaro cactus. When this put in the oven to begin to cook, between the stone and the agave, they put this slice of saguaros or cactus don't get burned the agave, and they cooked the agave by 3 days, around 3 or 4 days. That's why they use these saguaros. Okay, next. Here in winter, these people, Genaro and Abel, they ferment in pits on the ground directly. We only put some mud and stone. Next, please.
Here's
This is
a
a video.
video here.
Yes, this is Abel. He's putting more mud over the pits to get the fermentation. The fermentation takes 1 week or 2 weeks. It depends on the water, and only makes the bacanora de Barranco only in winter. In summer, they fermentate over the ground. Okay, so they say put in there with clay and leave there for 1 or 2 weeks. After they smash and add water there, they leave there the fermentation.
Okay, so Luis, the fermentation is covered?
Yes, it's covered.
So what is the narrative of yeasts that are introduced?
Yes, I know, but there is another different needs that works with no oxygen. I don't know how, but there is some bourbons or some whiskeys that use this kind of fermentation.
This is not something I've seen before. This is really cool.
Yes, it's very, very special. They don't, not many people, I think it's very few people that make this way of making bacanora. The others are over the ground and open fermentation. This is close.
Very interesting.
Yes.
Hmm.
So they don't add much water because in winter the agave doesn't have much sugar. So the agave doesn't need many water. So that's how this works.
And you said
Yes.
only 45 liters of this was made.
Sorry?
How much of this was made? This batch. It was a small batch you mentioned.
How
Yeah,
many
the batch size
45
was
liters?
yeah,
Yeah.
very small.
Okay. Wow.
Yes, 45 liters. Okay.
And yeah,
Next.
Linda, it's wild.
Okay.
It's really unique. Yeah.
Is that usual in that area to make small batches, or is it just this batch they decided to make 45?
I don't know. And other families, only this family know. I know this way making back another.
You can see
And they
with
told
the
me that
fermentation.
Huh?
Sorry, Luis. Luis, I was just going to say you can see that their fermentation pits are very small, so they're limited by that basically. So, and this goes back to like this is not something that was made for commercial production. It was made for the local families and everything that were there. So it's not something that lends itself to like
most
growing it
of the
bigger.
traditional mezcal is made for own consumption.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like making alcohol in a bathtub for us.
Mm-hmm.
They have like three pits there, and here is the still. No roof, is like moonshiner mostly. Please go next. Here's the method. This part is called sombrero at the top of the barrel that is boiling, and it's made by barrel steel stainless barrel of beer to cover the boiling. And this very simply how it works, this installation. That's all about this.
Sorry, Luis.
Yes.
Going back to this picture, is this two stills here then?
Yes. Together.
Two?
It's connect one to other. It's like
They're
call it
connected?
trend at this way, this method making, because it's like a wagons in a train. One to other is connected by a tube that is connected to the serpentine.
Okay.
I have not actualized the other plan, but I have the new draw when I put two barrels that is connected by one tube.
Yeah, curious what people think of this one. Everyone seems to like it, but no, Linda seems pretty excited.
Seems very like a lot of perfume and like crazy.
Yeah, I for me personally, I find on the palate when I taste it, it's very perfumey. When I tasted this at Luis's tasting room, the friend that was with us made a note that it tasted like incense a little, like
Yeah,
a
it's
really
like
aromatic incense.
almost like there's an aniseed or something as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was interesting for me because I found on the nose it smells one way, but then when you taste it, it's completely different, and it's kind of a wild experience. Yeah.
Yeah, it is yummy.
Yeah.
You see, it's pretty a lot of difference between all these expressions. Because people always asking me, why comes this flavor I don't know, it's the method. There is a lot of varieties in the method of making mezcal. It's the recipe actually of the, I don't know in English what is the word, but we call it in Spanish in Mexico sazon. That I don't know what is the translation of sazon. Is how
Sorry, I didn't catch that, Luis.
the hand of the
You-
person that is water. Sorry.
You're cutting out a little bit. Sorry.
Yes, I said it. Well, it's very complex. There is a lot of varieties of to get this result of the flavors of these spirits.
And like that goes back to why having all that information and understanding the variety that exists in the recipes, why that's so important, because every little step makes a big difference in the final product. Okay, we'll go to the next one here.
Okay. Well, the map again, we're going to Nuevo León, the red one. Next here. Nathan in January he visit here and he visit all this region that we make Mezcal, Bustamante, Santiago, and Aramberry. We're going to taste the expression from Santiago, from Laguna de Sanchez, from La Familia Torres. Here in these three different regions, one is desert, and the other two are mountains. And it's the contrast is very notorious between one region to the other. Nathan can tell you about that. In next. Here is the information.
You want me to talk about it, or
no? Go ahead. You do it, please.
Yeah, like Bustamante, where we went, is like kind of the desert region and very flat. And then the other two regions, it was amazing locale going up into the mountains. And the mountains in Nuevo León are really unique. And like, I feel like as Canadians, we could kind of appreciate the locale a little bit because there's pine trees and it feels very similar to Canada in that respect. And it got very cold. We were freezing when we were up there. Mexico got hit with a snowstorm. So just to keep in mind the kind of terroir that you're dealing with, like it's cold in this region. It feels much more like Canada. And that will have an effect on things as well. So, sorry, Luis, someone was asking to describe pulque. I know maybe you might talk about it, but maybe it might be good to talk about it ahead of time because it's so important to this mezcal.
Here in the technical notes here, we for fermentation, in all the fermentation they use water from well or from a spring, but here the producer doesn't use water; they use pulque. What is the pulque? The pulque is the juice get from the agave, or the pulque is the fermented. It's the juice of the agave but fermented. They have a lot of sugar, so the pulque here in Mexico used to be the antique beer. People used to drink within like 100 years ago or 120, 150 years. The Mexican used to drink only pulque, not beer. So it's very refreshing. Has very good flavor. So in Mexico get introduced the beer and other liquors. So there was a campaign of this prestige for the pulque. So and prohibition too of pulque and mezcal in some parts. So the Mexican stopped drinking pulque and now they drink beer or another alcoholic beverages. So next. Here's the landscape of Laguna de Sanchez. Next. Here's some of different agaves. Here is the most common agaves that we make. Mezcal is, we can see here, Verde de la Sierra, or this grows above of 2,000 meters above of the level of the sea. This water is the Castilla. We're drinking the mezcal from the Castilla. Here at the bottom, ceniza is an asperrima. Here, Verde del Campo is an asalmiana. It's an introduced agave. It's cultivated, this agave, for getting the pulque. Okay? And there is another mixtures between these agaves that Nathan take the note, Verde, you know, but it's
I
very
found
confusing.
it's super confusing. The names, this is something that can take a while to like learn, and I don't think anybody will ever figure it all out. But for example, these are all different agave species, and they'll have different names. But like Verde, you would hear like Verde de la Sierra, but also Verde de Castilla as well as names, and those are two different species. And then there was even, maybe I'm wrong, but maybe there's even one Verde de Cenizo as well. But then Cenizo is another species, and it was very confusing to try to keep everything straight. But
Because there is a lot of hybridization of these agaves, and it depends where it's get from. If it's in the mountains, it's at de la Sierra, or it's in the town, it's del Campo. It's very confusing, the names, but well.
Pero I would like to add, Luis and Nate, if you will, this is as sort of a you know, lotion, an aloe to the situation. Like, we are right in it. Okay, since I've been geeky about agave, we have been figuring out what's the difference between what folks have called it in the region for generations and what scientists are now categorizing as certain species of agave or families of agave, right? Like you're saying, Nate,
Yes.
that a certain agave can really have some kind of children underneath it. Different varietals, maybe they share a parent, but just as a you know, sort of bone for all of us agave enthusiasts, it's, I think it's a learning process, and we're always in it because it is changing at the moment. There are
Yes.
books by brilliant bar folks, industry people, are good, you know, like folks who've been working the land and everything from 2018 that are almost obsolete now because we know so much more. So I think that's worth putting in the space, just saying, like, let's soften it a little bit. That is maybe not the hill we need to die on. Let's learn, but it is changing constantly, right?
Yes. Yes.
Luis?
Yes. Yes, it's
also,
changing, and we need the the catalog. The catalog of the agaves is not complete. Every year is a new species that is cataloged, and corrections too, and this hybridization between these agaves are very complex, make very complex to understand the work of the agaves. So we support with the names, the scientific names and the regional names, to get the idea of what drinking or what we're localizing of about the agaves.
yeah, I think we when you're talking about botany, we like to have this idea that everything's very like clear cut, like differentiating between species. But when you go out into nature, it never works that way, and it's very complex. But also to add on to it too, and I think something that's important that Luis kind of protects is the local nomenclature or the local names
Yes.
that they have for those species. Like these producers and these harvesters of agave have a very intimate relationship with those agaves, and they know and they understand the differences. Like for me as an outsider, I can look and be like, oh, those look similar, but they can look at them and understand that no, these are different. and they're going to taste different when they use them, and how they'll show up as a final product when they make them into mezcal. So it's really important that you keep these local names as well. Just going by the scientific name, like even going back to the last one with the Angustifolia, I mean, a lot of people are very familiar with Angustifolia. It's widely cultivated, but this particular one from Sonora is very different from anything else we've seen. And it really has to do with where it's coming from, where it's growing, and producers understanding those differences. Just to add that on as well.
Yes, thank you, Nathan. And yes, for me, all this represents a lot of information that we need to keep because we're losing is erosionado, I don't know the translation, the culture because the commercial pressure, the market pressure is even with the producers, they begin to changing the name because the commercial, for example, in Oaxaca, I don't know, you know the agave arroqueño, no? The mezcal from agave arroqueño. And the name of agave arroqueño is in the Valles Centrales, in the central valleys in Oaxaca. But at the Mixteca, at the west of the Oaxaca, the name is Horno, is no arroqueño. But the Mixteca is very unknown place, is very far away from the capital. So have more successful the arroqueño because the tourists or whatever they know arroqueño, but the producers at the Mixteca, the name is Horno. So they begin to changing the name because it's not well known Horno. This at beginning calling arroqueño. For me, is no good because we are losing all this vocabulary that is with part of all the culture, the tradition. So I'm trying to keep all this information, all the words are important. So we can continue with all this beautiful diversity that we have in the world of the mezcal and the agaves. Sorry for my bad English. I don't know if the idea you got.
No, that was perfect.
Okay.
The next one.
So let's go next. Okay, this is Jorge Torres and his brother. Is Nathan, he met Jorge Torres when he came in 2 months ago. It's the master. Next. Here I'm going to explain how to get the pulque. Okay. When the pulque is mature, they make a hole in the heart to taste can get the juice. They get the juice at the morning, at the night, because it's feeling this juice is with a lot of sugar. So they are collected to begin to collect to the pulque to get a lot of pulque to make the mezcal. So for 100 liters of mezcal, they need 1,000 liters of pulque, more or less like that. So this take to get like 100 liters of pulque, they take like 1 month collecting the pulque with like one family. I mean, 3 or 4 different people at the morning, at the night, or at the afternoon, getting this pulque. Every agave makes like 1 liter by day. So they need a lot of different agaves to get all the necessary content of pulque. Next, please. Here is the barrels with pulque. We just get like whites, and now is alcoholic beverages, the pulque. So now here is ready to get to make the mezcal. When they start collecting the pulque, Jorge, he begins to collecting the agaves, harvesting the agaves to get cooked underground. And when it get cooked underground, next please. After get cooked underground, this is smashed by mazo or mallets, the agave, the cooked agave. When the pulque is ready and the cooked agave is ready, they mix together the pulque like 60% pulque and 40% cooked agave in these barrels to get fermented in 3 days. But the pulque gets 1 month to get all the quantity that they need, like 1,500 liters to make the batch. Okay, next. And here is distilling. Is is like a lambique, is copper, and this takes the like 3 or 4 days distilling, day and night, day and night. Next. And here is the system. It's very easy. It's copper. The pot copper is gate boiled. It gets through this tube to conduct the vapor, and this get condensed, 2 distillations. That's all the process of Jorge Torres. There is a lot. There is other varieties. Let's discuss. No, let's go with the yes. I don't know if the notes or something want to say something about this expression.
Yeah, what does everyone think? The pulque, I feel like, really shows up. It's quite different from everything else that we've had so far. So.
Yes.
Yeah, I've had pulque before in Mexico, and I can really taste it in the spirit. I had a question I put in the chat, but I'll ask it. Is the pulque, as it's sitting in the barrels waiting for fermentation, does it start fermenting itself before the end result fermentation?
Yes, it's like 2 fermentation. First, to get fermented the pulque. The pulque is fermented at 3 days, but they are putting more aguamiel, more juice, fresh juice, and are like feeding the pulque, and this still all the time fermenting, because you're adding more juice and get working all the time until you stop adding juice. It stops and probably get bad, but all the time is getting pulque all the days. And then when it gets fermented, the pulque, at the beginning, the juice is like almost transparent, not transparent, like a lemonade, it's color of lemonade. And then when it get fermented, it get whitish like milk. And then when it's ready, the pulque and the cooked agave is matched, they add it to get the flavor of the cooked agave and get fermented the cooked agave too, like 3 days. It's like, I don't know if I explained it well, but it's like 2 fermentation in 2 parts. The fermentation is in 2 parts.
It's kind of a delicate balance. It's like a dance of, like, you want to make sure the pulque is ready at the same time when you're ready to ferment the cooked agave as well. So there's an added level of difficulty to it. Someone's asking, do they distill year round, Luis?
Sorry?
Someone's asking if Jorge distills year round.
He's still setting in Spain.
Does he distill the whole year, or does he distill
No,
particular
no.
time, particular
No,
season?
only in winter season too. Why? Because he needs the pulque in summer, or when it's warmer the water. The bees or the insects still no, yes, roban. This is still the sugar from the juice, so the rendiment is different. So this only works in winter.
I think something to add as well is, everything that we drank prior to this is part of a denomination of origin. So like Bacanora has its own denomination of origin. Durango and Tamaulipas are part of the DO for Tamaulipas, but for Nuevo Leon, it actually isn't part of the DO, and you can't technically call it mezcal. And this can cause some confusion for some people, but the history of this production goes back a period of time, and Even though we can't call it mezcal from a legal standpoint, it is mezcal from a cultural standpoint as well.
Yes, that's right. Actually, technically, you cannot call it mezcal until it gets certified.
Yeah. Linda's asking for everybody if what they notice, what the pulque is doing, is that a textural difference or something else? Anybody noticing something different with it?
I get like, I don't know what it is. Like I think it's like almost like balsamic. It's almost like feels like it's like a little bit layered and syrupy. So
yes,
I can see it be more syrupy. Yeah.
Someone was asking if the fermentation is together. Yes, in the barrels. Yes, they put 60%, almost at the half of the barrel, a little bit over the half of the barrel of pulque, and then they put the fever inside of the barrel and wait 3 days to get all fermented.
If anybody's getting some palate fatigue as well, I think it's good you can go back and forth between your different mezcals and go back to this one. And I find your palate can get refreshed and you can notice new things. So I always recommend to keep a little bit and compare and contrast. It's a nice way to do a tasting. For me personally, with this mezcal, I find it's I see the texture element, but I find like from a flavor profile, it's lighter than everything else that we've had. Um, the pulque, like you're getting less of like the smoky cooked agave notes because of the pulque, so it's got a lighter profile. Reminds me a little bit of um, like a rum agricole. I don't know if Carl maybe sees that, because Carl's a rum guy. Reminds me of rum agricole, or like a little bit like corn. Yeah.
I'm reading the comments. Fascinating. So Jorge ferments in many small 200 liters plastic barrels. Yes, he ferments in plastic barrels. Actually, the producers Genaro and Abel, the Bacanora producers, the Barranco, in summer they fermentates in barrels, but it's on square plastic containers. They fermentates in summer. A lot of producers use fermentates in plastic. You can taste this oil, yes, right. It's the right area.
A lot of people like to turn their nose up at the plastic, but it is traditional in a few areas because that's what's available for them to ferment in, and it's easy for cleaning as well.
Yes, it's nothing good or nothing bad. It's the way to make. I don't want to lie here that they use some brands. They try to cover this kind of details because probably it's not nice. It's not the same for us to see that fermentation is in wood than in plastic. But as I said before, it's a traditional way, and it's the resource that they have at the hand to can make all the process to get the mezcal. So it's the way it's made, and they made very fantastic. Four of these families for me are fantastic families, and they make very fantastic product. You can see it when you drink it, every expression. I have some toast. I don't know if you are tired. We can stop here, but I have 3 more slides that I want, some toast that I want to share with you. I don't know, you want to say, for example, this one is what we're doing. We're knowing knowledge. And for me, there is a lot of brands or people that are inventing information. As I said before, some brands can occult, for example, this detail on plastic. No, for me, I need to be open and I need to be transparent and tell you this is the way that they make. I don't to cover this. Is for me it's no bad. Okay, and these forums. Thank you, Nathan, for making that this happens because it's in knowledge. We're sharing not only mezcal expression, we're sharing here knowledge. And right now, here are 20 or more people that you can know some traditional way of making mezcal. They know 4 different families. Here are 20 people that know different things from the north and from the country. So for me, it's very important. I'm proud of sharing with you all these things that we have here at the north of Mexico, especially from here from Nuevo León, my home state. Next. Let's be aware, as I said before, there is a lot of people right now, especially they begin making like characters, like influencers or whatever other things. They don't know anything about this. They haven't been in the places. They haven't been with the producers in the communities, and they use a lot of this information that they get from us or from other parts, and they square or they deformate the information to approach and make more easy to get in the market. So please always be you juzgando. We need to be criticized all the time. All you are getting from the mezcal. Next, please. As I said before, the mezcal is not only from the Mexican. The mezcal, it belongs to everybody. Nathan, we welcome, or whatever you want to come here, you're welcome. This is from everybody. It belongs to all the humanity for all the countries. No borders. You know what been happening between or 3 countries: United States, Canada, and Mexico. So this is from everybody. It's to share for everybody that want to appreciates all these spectacular tradition, all of these spectacular expressions. Next, please. This is my place. We have a lot of fun here with Nathan. Next.
Yeah, it got a little crazy some nights.
Next. And thank you very much. Any question? We welcome. Thank you, Nathan, and everybody here.
No, thank you so much, Luis. We do have a couple other questions. My brother was asking, how do the mashing techniques, the moliendo, affect the flavor?
The molienda,
Yeah.
you mean? The smashing?
Yeah, molienda, yeah.
Yes, there is, because the smashing or the fever or the juice is, for me, as I said before, the fermentation is 50% of the flavor of the expression of the mezcal. But in the fermentation is how you separate the fever, and there is a different way of separate fever. Yes, it has to be with the flavor, but not much. For me, it's like a 5%. Cómo incluye un 5% de how influence the flavor with the kind of smashing. Yes, like 5%. If you put numbers,
it might be a small percentage that it affects, but every little bit will have its own take. Something that I kind of thought about with this is depending upon how fine of a crush that you have,
Yes.
it'll determine how much like oxygen contact and how much yeast can actually land in the fermentation. And that's obviously going to have an effect on how it can ferment as a result. So if something's like not really finely crushed, maybe if you're using a Tahona and you're not being like so specific with the way that it's being crushed versus like an axe, where you have like an individual cooked agave in front of you and you break it up to as fine as you possibly can, it'll all have an effect versus using some producers will use like a wood chipper basically, and that'll obviously just completely tear it apart. So all of these things will affect the way that the fermentation obviously can occur. How it ultimately shows up, I think it's something to be studied. I don't think if everyone has the answers to this, but it's something interesting to look into for sure.
I love how you speak about it, Nate. It's like a million decisions that result in this thing that we are all enjoying and commenting on, right? And loving. And we've earmarked our Thursday night for this, right? So there's something special happening. But I love the fact that there are just so many factors. We almost can't science it out, right? Because
Yes.
100%.
there is every, I mean, Louise, dime, like there's so many decisions, the cook, the style, the wood, the distillation, the fermentation, open, closed, right? So many things. And they all return, so many of them return spirits that we love to drink, right?
I think this is what makes it so special, really, at the end of the day. Um, I'll add on like another thing to what Linda just said, like something that sometimes we might not consider is the fact that, especially when you're talking about these wild agaves that are being harvested, like let's say this agave took 20 to 25 years to reach maturity, but it grew in this very specific locale in this very specific area. When you harvest that plant, it takes like a snapshot of that area, that terroir, and you will almost never be able to replicate that ever again. So that in these individual batches that we're drinking right now are like incredibly special. They encapsulate like a very specific point in time and this like snapshot of like culture, history, the
Yeah.
terroir, and this for me is what makes it such a special spirit. And again, to go back, we're in danger of losing that if we don't try to respect and learn as much as we can.
Yes. Yeah. Well said. Yeah.
Mhm. I think Patty, you wanted to say something earlier.
No, but well, I have lots to say. This has been incredible. These are all super unique, and it just highlights everything everyone's saying. So thank you, Lise. Thank you, Nathan, for organizing. I love this comment, Linda, that you made. It's like drinking a Polaroid. That's brilliant. I love that because it is, we will never see it again. We will never taste it again, but it's that snapshot of all of the magic.
Thank you. Thank you for your words. Something, sorry, going back a little bit. I'm going to ask help to Nathan about the last expression from Nuevo León that is made by Agave de Castilla. What's the last bottle that I got? We have a big fire 3 years ago, and we lost mostly of this species of agave of the Castilla. So we are not available to get that expression with this agave. I don't know if you want to go to say more about Nathan, but I forgot to say that. I say that.
Yeah, no, I thought about mentioning that too. That yeah, the Castilla has been destroyed in that area because of the fire. So um, this is the last. It's the last batch, right, Luis, of
Yes,
the
the last
Castilla
bottle
that
probably. I
remain.
have only one bottle here.
Yeah, so that's appreciate the rarity of this for sure. It's something incredibly special. Hopefully, at some point in the future, we could see more Castilla, but again, these agaves can take years to reach maturity, so it could be decades until we see something like this again. So, I think there's one last question here. Okay, sorry, my brother is asking again how commercialization is affecting some of these artisanal techniques. And I think he's specifically talking about the crush, the molienda.
Well, yes. One thing that we have, I said before, is good and bad at the same time, that we don't know much about this way of making mezcal at the north. We're losing this way of making mezcal, but it's like at Oaxaca, for example, there is a lot of pressure, and obviously is changing the way of making mezcal. For example, some producer only works in season. But right now, some mezcaleros, they works a lot, and they are devastating a lot of fields of trees or other things to put agaves, to sembrar agaves. So yes, one good and bad thing about the agave, we need to wait like por lo menos by less 7 years to get ready this agave. So that is a hard part of making mezcal, because it's not like the whiskey or that you make from, or the bourbon that you have made from grain that you can have every year. And right now we have to wait a lot of time to get this plant ready to get the mezcal. So in Oaxaca is getting a lot of pressure. Here at the north, we are trying to solve this of we're losing of the extinction of these methods, but at the same time to try to label that don't get in this part of the pressure of the market, to we lose in other way the way of making mezcal. It's very complex. It's an answer complex to answer that question, but we have to be aware. It's only that we have to be working involved with the information.
Do you see a point where the wild agaves will get over harvested and mezcal may become more like tequila, where it's cultivated only, farmed only? I've heard some people talk about concerns about the wild agave getting depleted as more people are making mezcal.
Yes. Was a question written?
Yeah, it's like, do you see, is there a concern that
Yes, I'm concerned. Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
I'm concerned. Yes, of course. Here at the north, I have another. I concern about other facts, different from I said again, Oaxaca. Here, for example, the authorities, the government, the state of the government of the state is trying to put in the DO, the denomination of origin, Nuevo León. But at the time when Nuevo León get in the DO, we get in the radar, or the commercial radar, and we have no more of 7 or 8 producers here. We almost lost the mezcal, the way of making mezcal. So the government, they are not watching these parts of the equation. We need to be ready commercial I mean in commercial way to get this market. Oaxaca had 30 years forward from Nuevo León in the commercialization. Right now, it will be very dangerous to put in the radar or to put Nuevo León in the DO, because we are not ready. For example, or some of these parts that we saw before, we're losing some potential expression or some potential. I don't mean potential. We can lose a lot of things if when the DO needs is to say, you producer, you have no rights, or you brand, you have no right to commercialize 200 liters in the 1 month. For example, right now the DO permits you commercialize whatever you want. And for me, we need to put a level of pressure over the field of over our country about the markets.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is to try to protect the producers themselves. Like as we saw, some of these batches are very small, and those are kind of traditional batch sizes. Like for the longest time, we're talking about a tradition that goes back hundreds of years, and these producers have done so relatively sustainably over that time, but it's only since commercialization has come in that now all of a sudden they feel like they need to make more. You have a big issue with brands coming in and paying producers bottom dollar for their mezcal. So then they want to produce more, then they start harvesting more. So brands like what Luis has with Lamata, really supporting the producers and allowing them some autonomy to produce is really important, so they can produce sustainably. I think there's room for sustainability. It just you have to do it ethically for sure.
Yes, thank you.
Um, any other questions, comments?
Luis or Nathan, Lamata, we don't have Lamata available in Canada, right?
It's very difficult, yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Very difficult. I tried.
Not even in the West. It's not coming in at all yet.
2 years ago, I tried when someone was interested. Actually, I prepared 3 different batches, but was very informal. This person, I decided to don't send it to Canada. This hundred of bottles to there. I need someone more responsible to make the promotion of Lamata, the values of Lamata.
Yeah. It's such a complicated landscape, as many of us sadly know all too well, but I never give up hope.
Yeah, no, we will someday.
But like you said, in a very responsible way. So anyway.
Thank you.
This is definitely like a little bit of a plug for Luis and for anybody out there who might be interested. I'd love to see his stuff in Canada for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Things are changing, so.
Yeah.
Or one side of it anyway. One side changes, the other gets more complicated. But I love, Luis, the way you summarized your thoughts at the end and the idea, because I've always thought so much about how it is such a part of Mexican identity and heritage. But I really like how you just really blew my mind with broadening that perspective to this is all of our human heritage, really. So thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Again, thanks so much for everybody for coming tonight. Really appreciate it. This was awesome. I'm glad we got some engagement as well. People seem pretty interested. Thank you so much, Luis, for everything. Thanks for the trip. Thanks for coming on and sharing all this with us. I think what you're doing is amazing, and I think everybody really appreciates your project and your passion.
No, thank you for your patience with my English. Sometimes gets slow or don't get the word, but I try to do my best. Okay, so it's not the same in Spanish, but whatever. Thank you very much, Nathan, for organizing this to put me in the places of everybody, of everyone of here, and your interest of this. to you. I hope you get something new, some information to make good decisions about the mezcals of the spirits of Mexico.
All right. Awesome. Thanks again, guys. Have a great night, okay?
Thank you. All right.
Gracias, Luis.
Hasta luego.
Gracias, Luis.
Gracias.
Hasta luego, nos vemos.